Podcast. Never pass on shooter bucks, because that's just meat freezer. It's your tag, you hunt how you want. This is Okayest Hunter.
What up, everybody? Welcome to the Okayest Hunter podcast, coming at you from the Okayest Hunter podcast studio here in Oconomowoc, Wisconsin, where like nothing happens because it's Oconomowoc, Wisconsin. Cool news with that buck that you see over my shoulder if you're watching live. I shot that buck in Oconomowoc, Wisconsin. So sometimes some stuff happens here, and it's pretty cool. Anyway, the show is brought to you by Spartan Forge. They are our presenting sponsor. They have a lot of new features that just dropped, so make sure you're doing app updates in the App Store and check those guys out. It's off season right now, but turkey hunting is right around the corner. You can always use it for journaling and scouting and things of that nature. So really, it's a year-round app, but in season, I'm sure you're going to get a little bit more use out of it than you would off season. But you can head over to SpartanForge.ai to check those guys out today, and you can use discount code from us, OHP, for 25% off your annual purchase. I know that's a pretty deep discount. I know they have a lot of discounts out there. They're sponsoring a bunch of podcasts and other things, but to my knowledge, we're one of the few that have that level of discount. So for whatever that's worth. What else? Drop Time Spirits. I just poured a glass of that. So cheers to Drop Time. Thanks for keeping us from going thirsty here in studio. Always appreciate a nice bourbon, and it is a nice bourbon, and it's high alcohol content. It's like 92 proof, so it's pretty smooth. Also, believe it or not, I have another beverage here, and it's Backwoods Grind coffee, and you can use code OHP for 10% off on some Backwoods Grind. Just got a new shipment in from those guys. So, yeah, lots of exciting things. Call-outs that I can say at the beginning of the episode so I don't lose your attention later on. We'll be at the Open Season Trade Show in March 26th, 27th, 28th, I think it is. Basically, it's the last weekend of March. It's Friday at 1 o'clock through Sunday. And Greg put our booth together. He did a great job. And we're just getting all of our stuff. And I think we have like 500 hats that are being delivered. And I think we're getting more koozies. We have lots of stickers. We'll probably provide some discounts for free shipping if you're buying like shirts and shirts and sweatshirts and stuff like that. So if you're in the area and you want to say hi to us, we'd love to see you. Cheers to a bush latte or something like that. What else I had nothing about that. Booth 200A is our booth, which you can see if you go to the Open Season, website. You can see the booth layout for all of the exhibitors and whatnot. So that's that. And then August 27th, which is ways away, we're doing Foam Fest, which is a archery event that we're putting on. It'll be limited to who can come because we're going to limit capacity so we don't overdo it. But we're giving away this summer a Bear Legit bow, and then again at that event, we're going to give away another Bear Legit bow. They're fully outfitted with trophy line stuff like a sight and whisker biscuit and all that jazz. So, yeah, that's what I got going on there. We're live on TikTok. We're live on Twitter. We're live on YouTube. We're live on Facebook. So if you're joining us today, thanks for joining. We do have a guest on the line, so let's bring our guest in. All right, live with us on the show, Ped Dragich. Dang it, Ped, I knew I was going to mess up your last name.
Drag, like you drag your foot and you itch.
But, okay, so yeah, it's Dragich. Is it Dragich or just drag?
Drag itch.
So I lost your video feed there.
Sorry.
Are you still with me?
I'm going to see if I can tap in AirPods here. I don't know if that'll work better.
There you go. Yeah, I got it.
Okay. Sorry about that.
No, so what is the ethnicity of that then? Where are you from?
I was actually born in Serbia. It used to be called Yugoslavia at one time, but it how do you say, fell into 6 different republics. Which, by the way, if it's okay with you, I'd like to start off by saying that our thoughts and prayers go out to all the Ukrainian people out there that are going through some hard times. So I wish them all the best of luck, and we're behind you for sure.
Thanks for doing that. I can't. I mean, we're sitting here in luxury. We're podcasting. We're not worried about anything happening. So there's other people that is not the case at all. So definitely thoughts and prayers going out to the folks over there in
Absolutely.
Ukraine dealing with all that stuff.
Um,
Yeah. So,
but
and you can relate to some of that given your history. When did you come to the States then?
I'm 53, and I came here in the United States when I was like about 3 years old. So, and then, of course, parents had to fill out citizenship papers, and we had to go back for 2 years, for that process to be, how do you say, handled. And then, of course, I came back at 5, but a few years later, Dad made pretty good money. He hooked up with Wendy's International, and so I was able to go back a lot. Almost every single summer, we would spend 3 months of the summer going back every single summer for years. So I actually got a chance to learn 3 languages. So English, of course, Macedonian, and Serbian. And my mom is Macedonian, and of course my father is Serbian. But yeah, it's real interesting. How do you say, going back and just seeing all that stuff for
What's the
sure.
drink of choice in Serbia? Is it Slivovic or what I'm
The,
so
the what? The what?
the drink of choice, the alcoholic beverage of choice in Serbia. I forget what it is.
It's actually called Slivovica.
Okay, yeah, I was saying it
Slivovica.
wrong, of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
made from the purple plum.
Okay, yep, I've had it before.
Yeah, it's good
A
stuff.
friend of mine is from Serbia, and I'll have to make sure he listens to this episode. He's not a hunter, so he'll be like, man, whatever. But
Oh,
he'll
it's
probably get
okay. It's all good.
it.
Yeah, it's a good drink. It's a little strong, but I don't drink, so. But it's just how do you say, it's. Yeah, I think
It's
Serbia
potent.
really. Yeah, it's potent for sure.
Yeah. So you're in Ohio now, right?
Yeah, Central Ohio. I'm probably about 22 minutes from downtown Columbus.
And are you hunting public land in Ohio or private or both?
Man, both. This past season, I lost 3 pieces of property, public or private, that I was able to hunt on, and I've been going for years. One was sold off and leveled. That's where I was getting really most of my activity. I mean, I was seeing on average 20 deer almost on every outing. The rubs were, I kid you not, were monstrous. And then, of course, the other piece of property was being sold off. So it kind of hurt. So I kind of resorted to going a little bit more public this year. And I had some success. I got a chance to see a lot. I'll be honest with everybody out there. I did not harvest anything. I could have. I passed up some really nice big bucks out there, but nothing that really, made me shake to draw back on. So I kind of went deerless this year, but it's all good.
Yeah, deerless. That's a good one. We use the term buckless too because we're
Buckless, yeah, yeah,
yeah. I
buckless.
just made a post too about like my wife late season, like why haven't you gotten one yet, kind of thing. Like what the hell? Because at that point she's more eager for me to get a deer than I am almost.
I saw that. That was a good post on TikTok. I did see that. Yeah, the kids. I mean, I got 2 daughters. So they don't. How do you say? They could care less if I went out and harvested the deer. They would prefer that I didn't, because they feel sorry for them. But the wife, basically, she's just like, look, if you harvest one, don't think you're mounting it. That's $700 out the door. So she's like, I don't care. Don't. I prefer that you don't shoot one. So yeah, there's a couple things that ride again, go against me there, but it's all good. I love going out. I love seeing, picking and choosing, learning deer habits, and how do you say, being able to getting the chance to hunt. How do you say, throughout the whole season, which is probably the best part, really.
Yeah, just having the opportunity. So you and I met through TikTok. I think you were putting on some sort of session with a couple of different, people that are, somewhat known in that category, at least in TikTok, and have some
Yeah.
following. And I jumped in as a caller. Someone, I think Chris Whitley brought me in. And
Yep. Get outdoors. We'll throw it in for the guy. I love the guy, Chris Whitney. Get outdoors. Get outdoors too, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
These
Joby Shaw, another great guy. Great guys. I really did meet a great family out there of how do you say, people that actually love doing the same thing that I do, and they're really kind people, great support, all throughout. But yeah, I think that's where you and I met. That's right.
Yeah, and you've amassed quite the following, and I think your disposition and mantra aligns with ours. There's some good overlap there. At some point, you'd mentioned something along the lines of like, "I'm not going to post grip and grins with bucks." And I don't
Yes.
know if someone had challenged you, like, "We'll prove it," and you're like, "No, I don't need to." And so expand on that a little bit because that's fascinating to me. I've not heard anyone take that stance before. As
Oh,
much as we say a shooter buck is in the eye of the beholder and it means something different to everybody, that's why we use that terminology. I'm going to be happy to do a grip ring with anything I get. So I'm curious to hear how you kind of arrived at that and what that's been like so far.
Eric, this goes back, and again, I love all you guys out there, all the hunters that are watching it, that are listening. You know, everybody has their own way. Everybody has gone through the journey and is at one point in their journey when it comes to outdoors and hunting and things like that. And having a brother that was very competitive with me, and he loved hunting the inner city. He loved getting property, or how do you say, permission to hunt on property that was in the inner city. And I won't lie to you, there's monsters in the inner city. um, he was able to harvest some really nice big bucks. And for years, it was almost competition thing between me and him. And it was always kind of like, he's always holding up his horns, and, but he spent half the time out there. A lot of times he would just get up in a tree stand, the same tree stand, ladder stand over a pile of corn, or just continue to hunt in the inner city. And when I started talking to him about, well, are you rattling? I mean, are you on the ground? Are you stalking? Are you trying this? Are you trying that? And he would sit there and say no. And a lot of my buddies weren't. And so it's like you stand back and you watch huge horns being held in front of you, and you know how everybody does it, right? They're holding it out in
Yeah.
front of them. To me, it was more about what did I know about deer habits, and how much time did I spend to be able to learn not only the deer, but I mean, I'm out there listening to birds. And a lot of people are thinking this guy must be, drunk or smoking grass or something, but I'm not joking, man. I mean, birds are talking, chipmunks are, they're chirping. And I found myself, how do you say, in a different situation. So for me, it was, I'm going to challenge myself. I'm going to spend all the time out there as much as I can, learn as much as I can, and pick and choose what I really want. And then when I did harvest something, I wasn't going to post it because it really didn't matter. It doesn't show that you're a better hunter. It doesn't show that. So what? Somebody has a bigger buck out there, right? I mean, it looks different. Drop tines, non-typical, typicals. It doesn't matter. The bottom line is you can only hold that buck up so many times. So does that justify the hunter that you are? So I mean, if I kill a 180, does that show that I'm a big bad hunter? No. It was the luck of the draw. You happen to be in the right spot at the right time at the right hour, and the perfect part of the rut, and you got lucky. It was like scratching a lottery ticket. So does that make you better than me? No. So yeah, I choose not to show my bucks. A lot of people have given me grief about that, but I don't care. I share what I know. You guys are willing to be able to use it if you want. I've heard a lot of people got great success, from just the simple stuff that I tell them. But yeah, man, I'm going to keep my horns in my office, and I'm going to remember when I walk through the door and I see him, it just brings back that memory, and I'm like, you were 200 and X amount of pounds, dragging your ass out, and it was up a hill, and it just brings memories. So, for me, it's for me, and I don't care. It's okay. I love the fact that people do
Well, there's
show
a
their.
lot of people that are just not on social media. I think Exodus Trail Cam did a couple of different posts or what have you, or YouTube videos where they like compiled some of the biggest buck killers on public land, some of the biggest buck killers on private land, and then they did some of the most unknown. And that one I thought was interesting because if they're unknown, then they're unknown. Like I know people that don't have a Facebook, an Instagram, a Twitter, and anything, and they could, mollywomp some of these guys that are, banging their chests that they're the best and baddest deer hunters. And again, they're doing it for themselves, which is they don't even have that stuff. They're older, they've been there for a long time, but you walk their house and you're like, holy shit. Where did you come from? Where am I right now? Like, how did you do this? And like, I mean,
Yes.
yeah, I enjoy it. And it got to the point for some of them, the ones that I know personally, that they just stopped. I mean, they'll still shoot deer if it gets their heart pumping enough, but by and large, they're just out there
Yes.
taking pictures with their DSLR, because they like nature. And it takes a lot for them to pull back on something these days. And their trophy room is full, so it's like, what the hell am I going to do with this stuff at this point? I'm old, my trophy room is full. I've had a lot of memories and experiences. I don't need to be sharing the grip and grins. They never have cared about that.
And you know what? Back in the day, now I'm gonna kind of rewind just a little bit, but every kid has a problem. I'm not gonna lie. Every one of us had a problem as a kid, whether it was girl problems or there was family problems. Dad, mom, brother, sister. It didn't matter. School. We had issues, and when the parents are yelling at each other or whatever the case may be, your brother's driving you crazy. Your grades are not as good. Grade card just came out, and you're like, God, man, I can't believe I'm, straight across the board D's. I mean, you got to hide. You're not coming home with a grade card. You're trying to figure out how I can scratch that D into a B. You know what I mean? And fool my parents into believing that I'm doing good in school. Where I found my refuge was the woods. That's where I went. I couldn't stay home. So I just ran off to the woods. And when I did, it was like it opened up my eyes. It gave me a chance to reflect on my life and see the future, but it also brought me close to nature and just seeing animals walking by. I mean, think about it. I was out there for years as a kid with a little plastic, 1999 bow, trying to shoot rabbits, with a field tip. And there was no tree stands. I mean, there might have been a ladder stand or how do you say,
Climber or something like that, or
yeah, or the strap-ons or whatever. But there was no climber. No, I'm not joking, Eric. There was no climbers back when I started hunting. Okay, there was no climber out there. The first climber that actually really came out was a platform, and you had to hug the tree, and you had to bend your knees and go up, and you sat on a bucket.
that was
Okay.
it. All right, I
And
dig it.
that's how people were getting up in a tree, and that was the first tree stand. And I was building them. I was building them out there, and then I ended up building a clubhouse. Staying in the woods a lot. Drawing and thinking. But that's where it all began. It was more of an escape. It was finding myself and learning more as I was there, observing the animals. So yeah, it goes deeper for me than just going out and freaking slaying something. It's just not. It's not what it's all
Oh,
about.
I know. I think that's the case for most people. I mean, you had mentioned before we got, broadcasting live here, what's the why? Like, why do you hunt? And that's a question I think that some youth need to be asking, especially when I see people passing on deer. I've talked about this. I've made posts about it. And the gripe that I have is people passing on deer that have literally never, ever shot a deer, and they're doing it because they think that there's some standard that they need to meet based on just bullshit on TV or some show
Yes.
or whatever. Like, you're not going to gain any experiences, have any experiences, create any memories, anything indelible at all, to teach yourself what to do to work your way up to those larger class animals or those more mature deer that maybe you want to target, but that doesn't happen overnight. And the example I use is, you don't go to the gym at 400 pounds and expect you're going to be 185 and chiseled the next day. Like, that's not a
It's not
reality.
going to
It's a
happen. That's
process.
right.
And as a
But
deer hunter,
go ahead.
fall in
I'm
love with
sorry.
no, you just the process is part of it. And it's for me as a kid, it was escapism. Honestly, it was like deep thought, process thoughts, make big decisions, have some quiet and stillness. And now that stillness thing is probably the biggest factor for me at 35 with 3 kids, and I think I'm gonna be 36 in
It
2 days.
just
By the way,
changes. It just the
yeah.
whole thing, the whole reasoning why you go out just changes. And by the way, I'm sure everybody's already whatever seen the buck over here behind my back. Um, this is the only one buck that I've only used in two posts on TikTok. as just props, just something just to fit the video. But this will probably be the only buck that you guys will ever see. Of course, unless I kill the biggest or harvest the biggest buck in the county, and gets out someplace in social media somehow, some way, maybe. But this will be the only one that just use as a backdrop here for this live. But you know what? You're absolutely right. It's sad that I think the biggest question that everybody needs to ask themselves is, why are you going out hunting? That's the first question I think that all kids really need to ask themselves. Because if you're going out there hunting just to kill something, to prove something, I think that's the wrong reason to go out there and hunt. I think it'd be better for them to, how do you say, take a different approach, or go out there for a different reason than just going out there just to kill something, just to see it bleed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that creates some ethical issues, and that makes it hard for us as sportsmen and women to like carry on our heritage and tradition. Well, we have a lot of onlookers trying to pass bills to take things away from us. If that was the only reason is to shed blood, that's
Right.
that's some people probably have that reason, and that's their reason.
Yeah,
That's their right to have that. But it seems like there's a lot of other deeper reasons to go hunting. Maybe it's to fill your freezer. Maybe it's to feed your family. Maybe it's to create memories. Maybe it's to bond. Maybe it's to experience nature. There's a lot of reasons. Maybe you want to decorate your podcast studio. That's not my reason, but it's
absolutely.
just
Right.
there's a whole spectrum of reasons. And my thing is like, look, if I bought a tag and I paid with my own money, who the are you? Who the are you to tell me what to do with my tag? Go mind
That's
your own
right.
business. Why do you care? Do you tell me how to drive my car? Well, probably, because if it's like rage, but like really,
That's funny.
it's not your concern. And the fact of the matter is, we probably need more people buying tags. So it would be bad for you to, shy someone away from doing that.
Right. I mean, there's no question that everybody goes out for their own reason. I mean, there's a reason for that. You're going to go buy the camo. You're going to go out into the woods. You're going to go, and it's okay. I mean, I'm good with whatever reason, just long as it's legal, and you try to be ethical. A lot of people sit there and say, "Well, you got to make the ethical shot." Well, I
Like
get it,
most
but
ethical shot, like don't go flinging arrows at shit that you're not going to hit. But if you've
right.
practiced and you're confident and it's within reason, like shit can happen. That's called Plan B, and you can be
Absolutely.
prepared for Plan B. But yeah, don't go doing shit that ain't right. And sometimes you have to learn that the hard way as a young person. But
Yeah, and you know what? The sad part is I love all the hunters out there, because everybody does have their own way of hunting, and I've learned some things as well. And I've talked to some old timers, I don't bait, which is cool. I don't care.
a
Guys
lot
go
of
out there.
controversial topics. Yeah,
What's that?
there's a lot of controversial topics we could get into, and it's totally fine.
Oh yeah, I mean, when it comes to it's okay. I don't care. But I did learn some things. I talked to some people, and this old timer told me, if you're gonna bait them, you got to bait them over a bunch of piles of wood, all in the same direction, so that you have broadside shots. And I'm like, that's a great idea. I would have never thought of that, but I don't do it, right? And then I talk to somebody else, and they say pour a bunch of sugar over the corn, and I'm like, what? Okay, what, really? Corn, sugar? Yeah, man, as much sugar you just get on there. And so it's okay, I get it. But it would be great to see the youth go out and learn more, instead of just knowing that that is the way. That's the way that you're going to be successful. It's a foolproof, how do you say, solution. Waiting for them to come to the buffet line, and a lot of times, believe it or not, monster bucks just won't come. That one. I don't know if you saw my video. They come between 2 and 4 a.m.
Yeah,
They
women don't
don't,
say. Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I have some
Even
logic on that. I use a lot of dating analogies, but back in my dating days, look, if a girl is, that easy, like there's probably something wrong with it. Like, yeah, I think some other guys might have had, enough to do there that I don't want to deal with that. I'd rather, keep things the way they are and how I like them. Let's just not go down that path. And if a big buck is wise, he's like, you know what? There's probably something wrong with it if it's that easy.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question that, even my nephew did prove me wrong. My brother went out on a piece of property. He's been hunting for years. It's urban. And he puts out, 600 pounds of corn out there,
Mhm.
months in advance. He's just feeding, he's piling it up. And his son went out there opening day of bow hunting, wasn't in the tree stand for more than a half hour, and he ended up walking out of the woods with a 165-inch buck. You know, and I'm
Okay.
like,
Yeah.
and he calls me up and he goes, "Guess what, man? Guess what?" I was like, "What's going on?" He says, "I just shot a monster," and he sent me the text, and he thought I was going to be, you know, happy as hell for him, but I just looked at him and I said, "So, okay, all right, good job, but what did you learn?" And he says, "What do you mean? What did I learn?" He says, well, yeah. What did you learn by doing that? Like, being there, doing that." He says, "Nothing, man. I shot it. Aren't you happy for me?" And I said, "Well, let me ask you something. Do you know what a rub looks like?" And he goes, I said, "What about finding crisscrossing trails? I mean, do you know where to look for the bedding? Where the food source is?" He goes, "Yeah, that doesn't matter, man. I shot a buck." And I thought to myself, there's got to be a better way, right? And I saw him like 4 days later. He came to the house. He's showing me all these pictures that he took, and I said, "You know what, buddy?" I said, "I would love for you to learn more." And he goes, "You know what, man? You're right. It's like I didn't learn nothing. I got this big monster buck, and I didn't learn anything. You're right.
I
I
mean,
need
at
to
some point,
learn
it's like I
more."
go hit one with my car, and that's a really heavy broadhead. You want to talk about, front of center and FOC or whatever.
Yeah.
I Florida. That'll put it right through there. You know, but that's not the same as like, that speaks to more like woodsmanship. And that's where some of that experience starts to come to life and you start to see things differently. And that gets things going in your brain. Your critical thought process starts to go up and you're like, now you're solving some problems and you're thinking differently. And that's the challenge. I love the challenge. It's endless. The knowledge pool is limitless. You're never going to stop learning about these things and how to approach them. So you talked about like it's the luck of the draw, but you can always increase your odds. If you have a better
Absolutely.
understanding of the game, then you're gonna have more at bats potentially. But to your point about
Absolutely.
not experiencing anything, at some point, dude, you can read about baseball till you're blue in the face and your eyes are gonna fall out. But at some point, someone's got to throw you some pitches. You got to learn how to swing at the freaking a real ball coming at you.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's no question that these kids got to be put through that, and they've got to
Mhm.
have the opportunity to draw back or pull the trigger. I mean, there's no question about that. I mean, it's the experience, right? I'm a soccer coach. I played professional soccer here in Columbus years ago for their indoor team. And, you know, coaching kids, I mean, it's like I do the Mr. Miyagi stuff. I mean, I bring them right back to the basics. I teach them the philosophy, the culture, and I want them to know more. So when they do go play the game, I call it the teacher. So anything can be the teacher of the game, whether you're out there hunting, whether you're out playing a sport. It's those moments in the game that, or moments in those events that whatever you're doing is the teacher. And so the more moments you get, the better you become. And so, yeah, I think the more times that you go out, the more that you learn, whether you're stalking, whether you're just avoiding anything to see you in the woods, you got to try these things out because the funniest thing is what happens if you go take a guy out, a buddy, on brand new 40 acres of land, private land, and the guy only hunts out of the same ladder stand every season, over a pile of corn. I mean, and he goes out there and he's like, "Man, I don't even know where to go." Well, he's lost. I mean, you go walk around, scout, find those trails, find those, areas where you could be, how do you say, successful. And that's the problem. They don't.
Yep. Yep.
They're so stuck in their simple way. And I call my brother lazy, because he doesn't want to do the work. He won't go out to public land and go trek it, 2 miles in there with a tree stand on his back. He just wants to park and walk 40 yards into the woods,
Yeah,
and
there's
it
nothing
is
wrong
what
with
it
that
is.
too. Like
There's nothing
that's
wrong with it. Right.
that's fine. Like if you got a deer camp bot and you can only get 40 yards in because you had too many bush lattes, like, hey, you
Oh,
know what?
yeah.
There's a lot of fun in that, camaraderie and tradition kind of hunting too. That's deer camp for us here, gun season. But to your point, I wrote in a blog article a while back now, And I referenced a mixed martial arts champion named Frank Shamrock. And he uses a system called plus minus equal to train his fighters. And I tried to apply that to deer hunting. And how it works is there's plus minus equal. Plus is try to find someone that's better than you or further along than you, or like, someone you look up to learn from. Find
Correct.
someone that's not as good as you, that's maybe not where you're at yet, that you can teach. And then find someone that's equal to you or on your level. So in fighting, he talks about like find someone that's better that you can learn from, find someone that's equal to you that you can spar with, and find someone that you can teach to, because as you're learning something new, it's always important to try to teach it, because it's a great way to determine if you're actually articulating, the things that you're learning and applying it. So teaching is a great
Yes.
way to learn things, like you'd mentioned. So that plus minus equal kind of paradigm is in the deer hunting space. I'm sure there's always someone we can look to that we can learn from. There's probably
Oh,
someone you can
absolutely.
teach. And who's on your level? Like who's your buddy that you're always like, man, we're like neck and neck, that way to then spar with that person, because they're not going to kick your ass and you're not going to overdo it with them in the ring,
Right. Right. And it pushes you. I mean, it challenges you. It makes you want to go further. I love teaching. I mean, that's my favorite part. If you really want to know the truth, Eric, I love to teach. I love to be able to share something to someone and see them be successful. And raising two daughters and coaching them, for years in soccer, and to sit there and watch them, to be able to play, Division 1 with no problem. It was me that came out in them. I saw watching what I've done over the years to create what I did, and to see something evolve from that. I feel great about that. In other words, I shared something to somebody that was struggling, and something came out better for them. If that kind of makes sense,
Yep.
you know.
Well, the whole R3 movement of recruit, reactivate, and retain. Like if you recruit someone into hunting, there's some pretty strong intrinsic value to that. I've recruited close to 10 people into hunting, and most of them have stuck with it in some capacity. Some of them got deeper down the rabbit
Oh,
hole, took the red pill or whatever, and got into the matrix, and now they're bow hunting, and
oh yeah,
others just stopped at gun hunting, and others were like, yeah, they just kind of fade out of it. Um, but to see them get their first deer,
oh
it's
yeah.
holy. I get more excited for them than I
Me
do
too.
for myself. It's a different feeling.
Absolutely. It is a different feeling because you're like so happy for them. But don't get me wrong, there is guys I'm sure that, they see that buck and they're like, damn, that was my target buck, man.
I just don't
Oh
give a
my
shit. I
God.
don't give a shit. Like it's just, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I read the book Ego is the Enemy five too many times, but I have, eradicated ego from most of the things that I'm doing in life. And maybe me would have been like, man, I wanted to shoot that thing.
Yeah,
Nowadays, I'm like,
I
dude, if
don't
you got it,
care.
it is yours. And I'm so happy for you. My dad got a great buck this year in public. He
Did he
hadn't
really?
tagged on this property that we hunt, is public land, for several years, and he finally got one with his gun in this area. And I was like, Dad, I'm so happy that it was you that got this buck. Like, it was pretty
Yes.
cool. It was a
You
great
know,
public land with a gun. So
that's great, especially when it's like when it's family, like your son or your daughter or your wife or your dad, whatever. I mean, that's just it's a beautiful thing. But when I go back and I really think about the times that my brother and I took my dad out hunting for deer, shotgun season, opening day of shotgun here in Ohio, which is like World War III. Um, we would set him up in the best freaking spot. I mean, it's a guarantee he's going to get one, right?
mhm.
And so, we all set up in a certain spot, but we leave him in that specific spot. And so, of course, we'll chill out early in the morning, break it dawn, sit there for a good few hours. A lot of times it was really cold, so then you got to get up and start moving. But we would, circle and run that straight towards dad. And I don't know how many deer we've ran towards him. He'll never pull the trigger. It's crazy, and he comes up with some stupid excuse every single time. Oh, my glasses are foggy, or I had to use the restroom and I left the shotgun over there by the tree. But really, it goes back to he was a farm boy, so he was raising chickens and horses and cows and pigs and ducks and stuff. So he had the mercy. He went out there for more for the camaraderie.
Yeah.
It wasn't about going out there and shooting something. It was really more about just spending time with his boys. And believe it or not, he had an opportunity to shoot probably a 185, 86, 87, maybe 190 class buck because we got really nice footage of him on a trail camera. But he had like a 30-yard shot at it, and he didn't pull the trigger because he saw another hunter 100 yards down in the background, so he didn't pull the trigger. But I don't think he would have pulled the trigger anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. I
It's a
remember
camaraderie. It's a camaraderie.
I had a buddy that came out for the first time to our deer camp for the gun opener in Wisconsin, and then there was a group of does coming through. I could have shot a couple of them.
Oh
Who
yeah,
knows what would have actually happened because there's no tees or whatever. Like I could have missed, or they could have ran or whatever. But it was, it could have been a done deal if I didn't mess anything up. And I just texted him and said, "Hey, there's a group of does coming your way, man. They're all yours. Just be
what did you
on the
text it?
lookout."
You texted.
Yep, I just said they're
That's
coming your
funny.
way, dude. And he was on lookout. And he goofed. He's like, man, I didn't expect it. They're right there. And he's like, I just kind of, I didn't know that that's what I
Comment.
should have done. But I gave him the opportunity because
Yeah.
that's the right thing to do, in my opinion. He was new to hunting. And for someone that's new to hunting to at least see deer and then also have an
Oh
opportunity,
yeah.
that is enough usually to get them hooked. And it worked because he's hooked. So I just find that. And if he would have shot one, it'd have been great, or what have you. And like another buddy that came one year, I put him in a spot where I'm like, they move through here pretty consistently. There's a good chance you're going to see something. He did. He shot when he got one, and it was his first year ever. And then his second year, he came back and he shot a great public land buck. He was so stoked. He got it mounted. He's picking it up like in a couple weeks. Actually, finally, this is like,
Wow. That's
last year,
great.
or whatever. And
It's
so just
there's no question.
so cool. It's so cool. So that's important. FB Man Outdoors commented on here. I wanted to address some of the comments. We said
Oh,
he
no
was
problem. I can't read it.
Remy Warren is collaborating on a virtual reality game. He doesn't think that's a good direction for the future of hunting. FBM Maine Outdoor Journal. I haven't heard about that or looked into it. I don't know much about it. No video game experience is going to be as indelible as the real thing. You're never going to remember that buck I shot in that big hunter game ever.
Yeah.
Like, you're never going to be like, remember the headshot I
It's a
got in
different
college?
feeling.
Like it doesn't register in the brain the same way as a physical experience. So, I just take it with a grain of salt. Like I remember when my mom would say, like, you can't play Mortal Kombat because there's blood in the game and that's violent. I'm like,
Right.
it's not real.
Right.
It's not real. There's
No, I
arguments.
mean, it's a different feeling. I mean, people will laugh, people will cry, and do you really know the difference? I mean, I've seen people cry, after shooting a deer. I know a buddy. He lives in Montana. He's actually here this week. He's going to stop out probably either tomorrow or the next day to just come visit with me. He's only going to be here for about a week, but we took him out hunting, and he was a part of our little hunting party. And as soon as he shot his buck, which was a little 4-pointer, I mean, it was just a danky thing. He stopped hunting. He couldn't hunt no more. He was crying. He felt sorry for it. It ended it. It completely ended it for him. And he is now in Montana as a photographer, and he's taking pictures of bears and moose and elk, and he's getting close. I mean, if he was a hunter, he'd be killing. I mean, he'd be harvesting a lot of really nice, trophies out there. But it just does different things for people. Some people like it. They'll kill or harvest 8, 9 deer, and don't care. It's either to fill the freezer or just for the reason of, hey, I can do it, and it's just different. I think everybody has their own different reasons why they do it, and why they need to do it. But I think that's the first question for every kid out there is, why do you want to go hunt?
Yeah, it shouldn't be for
You
a
know?
sponsorship, or it shouldn't be for a free product, or it shouldn't be for, bloodshed. Like it should be for hopefully rooted in ethically moral reasons that can enhance their well-being in life and their spiritual well-being and their connection to nature and so forth. Those
Absolutely.
and to eat and to learn and to get your hands dirty and do some stuff, like rather than a virtual reality video game and rot your brain out doing that stuff. Oak Tree Dreams, Drew just said his wife cried after he shot four bearded shot a 4-bearded gobbler one year. So
Wow. I mean, I would love to know if she was crying because she felt sorry for the turkey, or if she was crying because she just can't believe she just shot a trophy. And I'm sure the feeling is probably the same, at one point or another. But it's different because once you do I'm not even going to say you harvested. You haven't harvested nothing yet. Just because you pulled the trigger, just because you,
yeah, you
you
gotta
know,
go do some work. You gotta get some blood in your hands. You gotta
you got
put
to
some
go find that.
calories and make your legs scream at you for a little bit.
Well, it
You
becomes a
know,
responsibility, is what it is, Eric. I mean, you have to,
yeah.
when you choose that path to go and hunt, I believe at that point that, then you're, how do you say, you're all in. Because as soon as you pull the trigger, or as soon as you
Yeah, there's no
hit
bitching
the
out at that point.
animal,
Yep.
there's no, hey, Dad, I got it. Can you come over here and pick it up? It's no. I want to see you go in there, do your thing, drag it out, go through the hell. I coach soccer, by the way. I think I told you that, my boys. And a great group of guys. I mean, great group of guys, and they're humble and they're kind and they're sweet and they're just gentle. And I need, for the game of soccer, you have to be tough. You have to bully, you have to, own the other person's space. And I sat there and I looked at him and I was like, you know what you guys need? I need to take you out into the freaking hills. I need to drag you through the thorns, make you crawl through the mud, and turn you into real men. Because when you do go outdoors, it's a different animal out there. It's just not walking on the path and getting up into a tree. I mean, for some it
Yeah, you
is,
start
but
bleeding a little bit after cutting through a bunch of freaking whatever that. Mike's not on the show
fires
tonight.
and
Briars,
oh
he
yeah.
knows all that terminology. But yeah, it's like shit. That freaking hurt, man. Usually, it's on the back of your hands that always get all cut up. I don't know what it is, but it's like suddenly, like, oh, I'm bleeding. What? When did that happen? And I'm like wiping my face. I'm like, what's all that blood on my? And like Dad's like, what happened? I don't know. Did I get cut?
All
I
the
guess so.
time. Or a
That kind of
thorn stuck in your foot, or the thorn. I mean, I've had two times thorns stuck right here in the back of my
Or you get a
eye.
branch into the eye, like either whaps or you pokes you, and you're like, oh my god, I'm gonna lose my vision. That's kind
Oh,
of.
it's
We do have
just,
a
it's
caller.
crazy.
If someone wanted to call and weigh in, looks like, yeah, I think it's our friend Drew from Oak Tree Dreams. Let's bring him in here. Hey, Drew, you're live on the show. How you doing tonight, buddy?
Oh, I'm doing great, man. How about you?
Hey, we're good. I'm drinking, drop time. I'm feeling great. I'm podcasting. I'm in my happy place talking to Ped over here. What do you got going on? What's up?
Welcome, Drew.
Nothing. I just figured a call, and it would be a lot easier than
Typing.
typing it out about the answer. But yeah, she is very compassionate about animals. Like, she gets why we hunt and whatnot, and she even hunts, but she still just has that side of affection that you just took an animal's life. Just it's sad to a point, but you're also feeding the family and all the other stuff. So there's joy on that end of it too. Like, she gets the whole
Yeah.
spectrum of it, and it's pretty cool to see, honestly.
It's hard for
Yeah.
some people. It really is. It's hard for some people to
Yeah.
distinguish the difference. I think it's really important for everybody. I mean, not really important. I'm not going to say it's important, but I think you got to value it. There's a reason why you go out there and do it. I mean, if my family was
Yep.
hungry, or if I had to fill my freezer, I'm telling you right now, it will only take me 10 days and I'll fill that freezer with 8 or 9 deer. It's not that hard. It really isn't. It's sad because some people are out there all season, they don't even see a deer. Well, when you're out there, as long as a lot of these, how do you say, veterans and these seasoned hunters, it's not that hard, but you gotta, there's a reason why you're going out there to do it. It's not just go out there and just blood and guts. There's a reason, why you're out there. So that's wonderful that people do, like your wife, she felt the sorrow, but she felt the happiness, and then she knows the whole spectrum of the whole reasoning. That's great.
And my wife gets sad. She's like, "Oh, that poor thing. I'm so sad. Aren't you sad?" I'm like,
Mm.
"Well, yeah, I have remorse. I'm not, a psychopath.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I feel what had just happened. I thank God for what I've just been granted and given, and but then it's like, then it's meat and it's a cork, a carcass, and you got to deal with it and process it up. And boy, oh boy, that the buck that's on the wall right here. we dragged him out of the woods, my buddy Joel and I, and Joel, he, bless his heart, man, that guy's missing a chromosome. So whatever physicality that tells him his brain he's hurting, he doesn't have that. Even though we're not in the shape we used to be anymore, I started going down one path and I fell into like a pond that I didn't see was there. And I was like, don't go this way. He's like, I already figured it out. And then he gets it, all the way to the truck, and I get it home, and then Greg comes over and Greg cuts out the loins, and I put it on the grill that night. And my daughter got to eat loins out of a buck I just shot, and
Oh, nice.
that's like, getting really familiar with your food and knowing where it comes from. And I had Jordan Syed on a couple weeks ago. He's a big fitness guy, and he's got, tons and tons of followers or whatever. He talked about his first hunt ever, and he cried when he shot the first deer they ever. But he talked about that connection with your food and like respecting the game. And if someone's eating a burger somewhere, someone had to kill that freaking cow. Someone had to take its life and butcher it up. So you have more respect for the process and the animal if you know where it came from and you dealt with it literally.
Exactly.
My wife, it grouses her out. She doesn't like to see that stuff. I'm like, but someone had to do this shit. Like, this is, like the burger you're eating from Culver's, someone killed that cow. That cow literally lived to die. At least the deer had a fighting chance, especially against me.
Yeah, exactly.
I believe it. I believe in that, Eric. I mean, I believe in that. I mean, think about it. All right. Somebody mentioned something. I can't remember who it was. And it was a post. And I replied to it. And I said, look, at least that deer lives free. I mean, I got to be smart enough and good enough to harvest him. He's not just going to, lay down and say, hey, I'm here. You got to be good enough to go out there and go get him. And he's free. I mean, he lives free. Where, cows, pigs, chickens, I mean, they're raised, they're raised in a pen, and, what they don't even know what the end game is, but they didn't live free, and that's another thing, I kind of think about sometimes in regards to the difference between the two. But yeah, man, somebody has to do it.
Yeah, you can't. It's hypocritical to eat meat from a grocery store, from a fast food chain, from a restaurant, and then be like, I can't believe you hunt. Bitch, shut up is what I want to say. Maybe that's at this point. Too. But yeah, I should probably tone it down. I'm usually nicer, but sometimes I just
man. Hey, you go wherever you want to go with it, buddy. I'm
behind you
100%. It's your show. You can say whatever the hell you want. No, like I said, everybody has their own reasons, and it's great that we get more kids out there. I mean, don't get me wrong. You guys know just as well as I do that October or September rolled around, and you started seeing all kinds of stuff. Hunting was popping up everywhere. I mean, bucks, does, people going out there and selfieing each other, or creating videos and things like that. And then we started really seeing a lot of the younger population going out there and doing videos and doing things like that. And what really scared me was, I think it was in October, I saw a young lady. She's in a tree stand. She doesn't have a harness on. She has a little V-cut, short sleeve, shirt on, and she's, videotaping herself. And she's got I don't know what kind of bow.
She's hunting deer. She's hunting something else.
No. I mean, she was hunting. She wanted to be a hunter, and they tore her apart, man. I mean, some of the comments in there are like, "Hey, where's your harness? Where's your camo?" And I think it was all on the grounds of, hey, I want clout. I want to go out there. I want to get the likes. I want to get the views like everybody else is. And it's okay. I get it. But go out there a little bit more responsibly than just using a climber for the first time,
Well, I can't tell you posts I've seen from some influencer that has their bow upside down or something. Look, I've grabbed my bow upside down. I've shared that story. I've done it. But you take a picture and promote a bow brand. It's like, well, that's not accurate. Like you're not like, you don't have any chops. Like you're doing it for the photo. It's ridiculous. Anyway, Drew, are you working? Are you done with work?
Oh, I'm still at work.
Oh, yeah. All right. You're double dipping there. I think they call that gold bricking, but I'm glad that you're gold bricking with us.
Heck yeah.
I feel sorry for the both of you, just so you can
man, we've been dead.
Yeah.
What does Drew do? What does Drew do? Hey, Drew, what do you do?
What was that? Sorry.
What do you do for work, bud?
Yeah, what do you do for work?
Oh, okay. I work in a lumberyard as a delivery driver and run the boom truck and stuff, but on Tuesdays I always close, and it always happens that the OK's Hunter podcast is on when I'm closing. So
No,
We
that's
got
good. That's good.
we used to record this thing later, and then we moved it up so I could actually like put my kids to bed. But that was the impetus for it. Are you obviously you're turkey hunting? What did you draw? Or I know it's not like a draw system, but what did you get for turkey hunting? What zones and time frames and all that stuff for here in Wisconsin? I know you're in Wisconsin.
Actually, that is a funny thing to ask because I pulled an okayest hunter kind of moment there.
Oh shit.
So I work every other weekend kind of thing. I mean, it's probably going to change where I have every weekend off, hopefully real soon with the way things have been going. But me and my brother were trying to plan when to both put in for the turkey tags on December 10th because that's the deadline here in Wisconsin. And we decided the second season because first season really wouldn't work. Jarrett, my buddy, he ended up getting first season because he was a very smart man when it came to the whole checking out process on Go Wild. And I pretty much left my cart open all night and never purchased my turkey take. So I'm just going to have to get a leftover take for later in the season.
Oh,
but
I'm going to do that
Yeah.
if I can, because I missed it all the way. And it was funny because Greg, our co-host, gave me shit. He's like, "You didn't do it." I was like, "I was waiting for you to tell me." He's like, "What do you want from me?" I was like, "I want you to tell me when I'm supposed to buy tags. I've never bought a turkey tag before. I don't know how this works." And then so he gave me a bunch of shit, and then I gave him shit back. And so at this point, I'm just going to see if I can get a leftover tag, and if I can, I'll go. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, and it sucks getting leftover take because you always want to get like first season. Honestly, in my book, just here in Wisconsin, it's usually better because then they get more pinned up and whatnot. But I mean, it's just fun to be out there and listen to their gobbles, even if you get one or not. I mean, and we hunt public a lot of turkeys. So
well, I'll play the sound clip for you for your mistake.
Okayest hunter.
There you go. You got shamed. Now, dude, thanks for
funny.
calling in.
Yeah, no problem.
Drew, thanks. Yeah, thanks for jumping in, man. That was great. Nice meeting you, buddy.
Yeah, no problem, man. Thanks.
Cool. Glad he was able to call in. Well, we take calls live, which is like part of our experience. We don't take a lot of calls like off season like this, so it's nice of Drew to call in. Sometimes it's easier than being a thumb warrior and typing into the comments. So if you want to call in, you can. If you whatever, the phone lines are open. I put the number on the screen. So if you're watching live, you can give us a shout if you had any questions or comments or what have you. But Ped, why don't you just share a little bit here? We'll bring the plane in for a landing. We try to roll for an hour or so. Obviously, I mentioned we met on TikTok. What are you doing on TikTok? Like, what is the content? What can people expect from you if we drive people there? Like, what's your flavor, so to speak? What are you putting out there?
Well, I mean, I can only tell you that, number one, I don't have a job. I'm retired.
Are you retired?
Yeah.
What'd you do before you retired? You teaching or what were you doing?
I mean, it's crazy when I say this because, by the way, I've cats running around here and I'm just trying to get him out of here.
Oh, don't worry. We got cats and dogs and all that stuff.
I was going to say that. So, God, man, how can I start? I mean, all right. So I'm a born artist, number one. I've been painting, paintings like Bob Ross when I was a little kid. That was my big thing. But then I started expanding to stretching my own canvases, and eventually in 2018, I invented the first artist's canvas that's double-sided and it's curved. So you can paint I can paint all sides of it. It's called Wavy Canvas, and right now I'm exclusively the only artist that's painting on them, and I'm putting them in galleries. So that's my retirement now.
That's really cool.
Thanks, man.
I'm a former artist. I actually have sold pieces publicly. I was really big in oil painting. In fact, Derek, one of our co-hosts who's not in here tonight, he is an artist. He's an art teacher. And he does some stuff. So yeah, you're among friends here. This is great.
I would love your guys' feedback on what I created. I mean, it's kind of sad because I went down to the Columbus Arts Festival and I was talking to, all the people that are out there, exhibiting, their artwork and stuff. And some old guy, I don't know what kind of art he was doing, but, I showed him my idea as I was having a conversation with him, and he basically called it kitsch. I don't know if you know what kitsch basically means, but they used to use that word back in the day. I don't know, 50s and 60s, I guess, where it's just basic. It's like almost like a washcloth, basically. It's just It's a simple idea. Like, in other words, why would you paint on something that I created? It's like everybody is so used to painting on a flat canvas because, I mean, that's, you know, it all really started, I don't know if you know this, but on animal hide. That was the
Mhm.
real first canvas, you know? And so we've only been really accustomed to painting on things that are flat or, you know, maybe a structure of some sort, like a piece of driftwood or a skull or whatever. But I wanted to paint bigger. I wanted to put more stuff on it. And literally, I can hang off of one of these things off the skin, off the face of it. And they're not indestructible, but they're very lightweight, and I can literally stand on them. But it just gave me, how do you say, a different avenue to being different. You know what I mean? So right now, I'm just painting on them myself. But
Mhm.
prior to that, Dad was an Eastern European, hardworking, how do you say, electrical engineer. He hooked up with Wendy's corporate. He was actually the first man to put the first salad bar in a Wendy's restaurant. And I was out on the road with him. I mean, 13 years old, 12, 13 years old. I mean, I hate to say it, I know it's against the law, but I was driving his van for hours because he was sleeping right next to me at the age of 13, going from store to store to store. And I learned construction, all aspects of it, and got into the tile industry, and with my father, of course. And then, you know, I went off on my own. And the name of the company is called The Tile Guys here in Columbus. So for 38 years, I was laying tile, and it
Wow.
did really well. It did really well for me. I ended up buying 7 acres of land, building I hate to say it, a pretty big house
You
for
don't hate to
half the
say it.
cost.
You didn't, you know, like you weren't even in the US when you were a kid. Like, this is fantastic. That's great.
Yeah,
You're
you know
big.
what's even more crazy? You're going to probably think this is pretty sad, and I'm not proud to say it. I never finished high school, Eric.
Hey,
I
who gives
never
a
finished
fuck?
high school.
Excuse
Yeah.
my language. My dad's gonna be like, damn it, Eric, quit
No.
swearing. But no, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I was just talking with someone the other day about this. Like, in today's day and age, this stuff doesn't matter anymore. And clearly, you made it just fine. So who cares? No one cares.
Yeah, I
I would
mean, it
never
was
have that.
no, I mean,
I
I'll tell you what, dad really pushed me. Dad really pushed me a lot, and my grades were not that good in school. Dad and mom divorced. You know, then of course, you know, I just wanted to get the hell out of here. So I begged him to send me to a military school.
How did that go?
Oh man, I'm telling you what, it was in Lexington, Missouri, called Whitworth
You did it.
Military
You did it.
School.
Okay.
And he sent me. I mean, we went up there to go visit the school, and he was like, "All right, I'll see you later." And I was like, "Well, no, we're not going home." He goes, "No, you're staying." I'm like, "Okay." So I stayed, and halfway through my second year there, I was like, "Dude, I gotta go. I gotta get the hell out of here. These guys are crazy, you know." You know, just problem kids, rich kids, you know, wealthy, haiku kids, you know, just snobby. It was just difficult, you know. And I just got to get the hell out of here. So I came back. I asked Dad. I was like, you know, let me work with you. And shit, I think it was 1986, and I was making $10 an hour working with my dad.
That was the year I was born. So I was
I mean,
alive.
I was making good money. I was making good money. I learned the industry. Told Dad I didn't want to go back to school, and pushed myself. And believe it or not, I built my house. I was like the general contractor and did 60% of the work in it. Saved myself hundreds of thousands of dollars. And then, of course, the tile business did really good for me. And I just walked in the door one day and I just looked at the wife and I said, "I'm done." She goes, "What do you mean?" I was like, "I'm sick of this freaking business. I have no heart for it anymore. And the house is paid off and we got money in the bank. And if you want to leave, sell the house and let's freaking retire. That's it." And she's like, "You're crazy." And I was like, "No, I'm serious." So I haven't worked since, I don't know, 2019.
Good for you. That's not that long ago. My truck's a 2019, so I figure you're like, that's not that long ago. It's like 3 years ago or something like
Yeah.
that. I can't. Don't make me do math. But so now you have time in your hands. You can do the stuff that you love now. The art is awesome. I see the thing behind you. For those that are going to listen in podcast land, you can't see, but it's a curved thing. The curved thing is interesting because there's a lot of LCD like computer monitors now. Instead of having two screens, you can have one that is like really, really big and curved, and that's popular. They're
Yes.
very, very expensive. They're like $1,000, you know, for the good ones or whatever. So,
Yep.
you know, I
Yep.
think you're on something with that for sure. And
I
Derek,
mean, the curved is yeah, that curved canvas is almost looks like a curved, flat screen, but it's, 2 inches thick. So it kind of gives you more of a three-dimensional feel for it. But like
yeah.
you said, I mean, yes, I'm retired. I got a lot of time on my hands. It kind of sucks because your schedule's completely off. The wife's walking in the door, and I'm like, is it Wednesday today, or is it? You know,
Yeah.
that's the part that kind of sucks. It does get a little boring, but I do find, I how do you say, I fill my time. I'm making canvases, I'm painting,
Yep.
yard work. You got 7 acres. There's a creek that runs through the property. It's just a lot of work, upkeep on the house. And the biggest reason why I do that stuff on TikTok is just have fun. And if you want to know
Yeah.
really the truth, Eric, is because the kids kind of piss me off. They,
Your
I
kids or
asked
kids
them,
in general?
my kids.
Okay.
I basically said, hey, look, man, I'm making all this artwork. I'd love to put it on, social media. Facebook's bullcrap, Instagram's bullcrap. You got to pay into these sponsorships, and you got to pay this money for them to put it out and all that stuff. I was like, I want to be on TikTok, and they're like, Dad, please, it's for kids. TikTok's not for adults. And I'm like, no, I've seen there's adults on there, and they looked at me and they're like, well, we're not going to follow you. Nobody's going to like your stuff. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So the next step was to try to figure out how to make a damn video. And, I'm not very computer savvy, or I'm not very techno savvy, but I downloaded an app, and I went in my warehouse, and I sat down for 7 hours, Eric, 7 flipping hours in a wooden chair. And I learned how to edit my videos. And so I
What are
started.
you using? Are you using InShot on your phone, or what do you got?
I just use my phone, my iPhone,
Yeah,
and
and
I
iMovie or
and
what?
I use an app called Quick. That's it.
Quick, great. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can do all sorts of crazy stuff with just a phone these days. It's pretty wild, man. And you can make money from TikTok. They'll pay you. They'll pay you for putting
And I
stuff on their side. So it's just
are
it's
you?
very
And I'm
interesting.
not even on that creator fund. I'm not even on
We
that
are.
creator
We are.
fund.
We're not rich, by any stretch. We have a very small following, but you know what? It might pay for a hotel at the trade show or something someday. So
Why not?
it's cool that we live in this world of 2022 where you need to make content and it's fun for us. And we're trying to pump out our message, and we're trying to like put this thing out into the ethos and what have you. So it's one way to get people's
Absolutely.
attention. And there's a lot of ways to do this stuff, but there's always going to be something. It doesn't matter. TikTok, maybe in 10 years, it'll be something completely different, and Facebook will maybe be dead, or who knows. But it's
TikTok's at the
nothing else.
top right now, I think.
It's good to see that there's outdoorsmen and women and hunters across all platitudes. There are hunters, you wouldn't believe it, but there are hunters on LinkedIn. There are hunters on TikTok. There are hunters on Reddit. There are hunters on Instagram, on Facebook groups, like
Everywhere.
Twitter, YouTube.
Everywhere.
Our community is everywhere. And honestly, I hope we just did an episode with Brad Luttrell with Go Wild last week. We talked about censorship, and hunting is being deleted potentially, and there's all these bills that are coming down the pike and things of that nature that they're trying to rid us of our public lands and censor our content and demonetize our stuff. That's why I believe it's more important now than ever, and that will probably ring true for a while now, more important than ever, to just be good to each other, be a
Oh,
strong
100%.
community. We need to work together, not be fragmented, not bite the neck off of the head. And I'm on my soapbox. I've said this stuff plenty of times. But so I think your message is good. Like the fact that you're not doing grip and grins is very interesting. It's a loud stance to say that's not what is important to me. And you're
It's not.
putting actions speak louder than words. And if that's what you're doing as your action, that's backing up the words that you've said. That makes sense to me, and I commend you for doing that. I think that's a great
Thank you,
message to put
man.
out. So
Thank you. I really appreciate that. I mean, it is kind of hard because everybody wants to say, well, where's the proof in the pudding? They want to know. I mean, why, here you are standing here telling me that this works.
you're like, bro,
Or
I'm retired. I don't really give a shit. I'm just out there to do what I want to do. I don't care.
pretty much, it's
Yeah.
like, I'm just out there having fun. I like videotaping. I'm an artist, so of
Mhm.
course I'm trying to use my creative self, to create something good for, viewers. And, it's not about the followers. It's more about, can I send a message off that's positive and helps people? And it's not all about the horns. It's all about, we supporting each other. I think that's the most important thing, is we all support each other regardless of how you hunt, regardless of why or what you do. like I said before, just long as it's legal, is what we want. And just to teach the kids, put a better message off to the kids instead of saying, man, you don't need to sit there and wash your clothes. You don't need to do, you can just put on the Carhartts. The same damn Carhartts sit in the back of my pickup truck, and I get in the same damn tree stand every single damn year, and I get my sand buck every year. And, well, you know what? I get it. It's okay. I get it. But there's more to it. There's more to it than just going out there and, like I said before, just slaying or harvesting an animal. And that's kind of where I'm trying to hopefully support and help and help teach if I can. So I'm open for a lot of different things and different views and reasons and ways. Mine's not always going to be the best. You don't have to try it, and just sharing it pretty much.
Yeah, no, I dig it. And boy, oh boy, TikTok just launched their 10-minute video stuff for their. It's funny because Facebook and YouTube are trying to go short form because of TikTok, and now TikTok's going long form. Maybe all the social
Wow.
platforms meet in the middle because they're all just copying each other. But the name of the game is content, and I think you've done a good job putting out quality content. Where can people find you as we bring the plane in for landing? Like, how do people find you? Are you on TikTok? Are you on Instagram? Are you on Facebook? Are you on YouTube? Where should we point people to go check your stuff out?
I mean, look, when you're trying to push a product, or where you're work for somebody, you're trying to, you're trying to make a dollar. How do you say, off of social media? It's a different thing. You're going to try to be on everything, right? But if I really wanted to sell myself, as far as drive people to me, to find me for something, it would be for a piece of artwork, is exactly what it would be. And I mean, you can find me on Instagram, or you can go Wavy Canvas, on Instagram or Facebook, which I'm on both. But I mean, I'm just out there just sharing the good vibes, man, just supporting the young hunters out there. You doing my creative thing, passing the time, finally getting a chance to live, Eric. I've put myself through hell for years as a worker, in the construction industry. And yeah, I've been all across the Europe and, and got a chance to see a lot of things a lot of people didn't see. But it's time to really enjoy. I mean, I'm 53, and, I've worked my body over pretty damn hard over the years, and I just want to try to enjoy it. I want to try to enjoy what I can, and just put my art out, go out there and just enjoy my days. You know what I mean? That's pretty much what it is. So yeah, if you guys want to find me, yeah, you can find me on TikTok, you can find me on Instagram, you can find me on, Facebook. I'm going to make a YouTube channel, by the way, Eric. I'm going to do that just for shits and giggles, just so you know.
Are your kids going to help you?
My kids won't help me with nothing. Okay.
Yeah.
Not a damn thing. All right. It's always, Dad, hey, I need $20. I'm like, come on, man, help me with this. No. You got this. You got this. And so, no, my kids won't help me. It's all on me.
It's PED, and then the last name, the spelling is different than it sounds. Go ahead and spell it out for us, because there's people listening in podcast land, and while they're driving to work or walking the dog.
Gotcha.
So
to really put it in, how do you say, in real perspective, my real name is Ped Dragich. That's my real name. That's the way you would say it. But the Predrag would be the William, the Bill would be Dragan. So that's my European name that everybody calls me, is Dragan, like the fire-breathing dragon, except instead of the O, there's an A. But, people can't say Predrag, people can't say Dragan, because they got to roll their R's, which, by the way, if you say cottage cheese, you do roll your R. I just went to Ped, and the last name is Dragich, just like you drag your foot and you itch. So, yeah, it's a little hard, but it's a little simpler. I made it a little simpler, I think. I just called
I think
myself
that's
Ped.
fantastic. And that's your handle then on TikTok, Ped Dragich?
Yeah, Ped Dragich. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I know when we had met, I was like, wait, is that your real name? You're like, yes, that's my real name. I was like, okay, you never know. So I'm going to make you do this, and I may be a little ashamed to ask you, but go
for it, man.
Like, the accent is just so badass. It does, like,
All right, all
You
right,
would
all right. I
say
know what
drink
you want.
vodka.
I know
Like
what you want.
I want some vodka. Like you do it in such a like it's so authentic. I love it. Or can you
Well,
can speak in that, can you speak in the language? Can you speak in that language? Like listen to the OK
a hundred
Center
percent,
podcast or something.
100% fluidly. So let's just say, for example, I'll say this in Serbian, okay? Ovo je bilo mnogo dobro što ja i ti smo imali šansu da pričamo. Okay, that's in Serbian. In Macedonian, it would be mnogo biše ubo jasi ti vakasi zborova me. All right,
Oh my
so
gosh, it sounds like the inverse of Serbian. It sounds like a really badass language. Like it sounds like I don't want to fuck with you.
it's a Slavic language, Serbo-Croatian. It's a Slavic language. So us and of course Russia and other countries like Greece. I mean, they're also using the same. How do you say alphabets? I mean, I'm sure there's probably one here or there, but our alphabet's bigger, and a lot of different words that you have to use, like it's like a LJ kind of sound. It's technical. It's a tongue twister for sure. To be able to just sit
Your
there and
English
go,
is really good.
you know.
You've done really well. Like, your English is really, really good. So
Thanks,
it
man.
should be easy.
I can do country hillbilly. I can do a little bit of Spanglish. I
But
like
can you
to
do
just.
Wisconsin? Can you really get the Canadian? Hey, I don't know what you're talking about there, guy. Like
Only if I spend time with somebody for about an hour. It's all it takes. Just feel out feel out the. It's kind of
the
messed up
lexicon
because
or whatever. Yeah.
oh, it's messed up because we'll go to a restaurant, we're sitting there, it's an Oriental person or whatever, they're talking to me, and all of a sudden, I find myself, I'm like, I'm talking differently, and my kids would go, Dad, why are you talking like you're Mexican, or why are you talking like you're Latino or whatever? And I'm like, I don't know, man. It's just like maybe it's easier for them to understand by trying to talk like them, but
Adaptive.
they want you to talk clearer so they can learn better, and you know what I
I went
mean.
to Nicaragua, and it wasn't about 2 days before I started talking like I was from Nicaragua, and it's hilarious. You just start to
Yes.
you just adapt your surroundings. So no, but Ped, thank you so much for being on the show. I appreciate it a whole bunch. I think the topic was really well fleshed out, and we'd be happy to have you back on in the future. Don't worry, you'll get some micro content from us. I think there's some good clips here I can grab to send your way and tag you in
No, I
for
appreciate that, buddy.
for
Eric,
everybody else.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, I truly, thank you so much for having me. By the way, for everybody that's listening or can see me, this is my first ever podcast. I've never done one of these before. Hopefully, hopefully I'm sending a good message to all the hunters out there and the youth that are, wanting to get into hunting and getting out to the outdoors. It's a beautiful thing. I support everybody, support all hunters is what I'm always shooting for. And before I say goodbye again, um, our prayers really do go out to the Ukrainian people. I wish you guys all the best of luck out there. And thank you very much again, Eric, for having me. It was a wonderful experience sharing with you. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for being our guest. Sorry that we were first, and hope there's many more to come after ours. And we appreciate your time and for taking time out of your day. And we know you got a lot going on, even though you're retired. It's really appreciative. So
Thanks,
we're gonna
man.
end the live broadcast. And per usual, folks, if you tune in live, this will be in podcast land this evening. It's my job to produce these shows the same night. So I will go put my kids to bed after this, and then I will come back and get this thing done so you can listen on your way into work or whatever you got going on. So thanks so much for tuning